place his newborn son in front of the plow. If he plows over it, he's really crazy and will go away. If he doesn't, then he's not crazy and he'll have to come with us. So Odysseus is caught. He's not going to run over his own son, and so he gets caught. Right, he might have done differently. The war goes on. Achilles has an interesting option. He tries to avoid the war as well. But he does it in a different way. He puts on a dress. He ends up going to this island with this harem, and so they show up, they get this tip of where he is, and they show up and they bring all these gifts for these women. And in amongst the gifts is one beautifully made ornate sword. Well, of course, the women aren't going to be concerned with the sword. They're looking at all the silk and the scarves and everything else. And Achilles goes, wow, this is wow. And he's caught as well. They end up taking him off. Well, the war goes on back and forth with curses and different things that happen. The gods are also divided between the two sides, and eventually, after 10 years, I'm condensing a bit, eventually after 10 years, there is a dream that a guy named Calchas has, who says, basically, he saw a falcon hunting a dove, and the dove hid to get away from the falcon, so the falcon went up higher away. And when the dove thought it was safe to come out, then the falcon swooped down and caught it. And so Odysseus comes up with the idea, okay, so let's do this. Let's pack up as if we're going home. You give up, keep her. And so they pack up as a gift to the Trojans. They make a wooden horse. So they pack up in their boats, and they sail around the other side of the island, leaving one guy to say, this is a gift for you. Please forgive us for having sieged your city for 10 years.
My bad.
Inside the Trojan horse, as you're probably all familiar, are some of the best warriors. They bring the horse into the city. They all party all night, and everybody's all tired out, drunk, passed out. And they come out, burn the city, open up the gates, the boats sail back, and they take over Troy. So Odysseus is touted as being this great person who won the Trojan War. However, he takes credit for it, not giving credit to some of the gods, namely Poseidon, which is the wrong person to piss off, because he is the god of the sea. And if you're sailing home, that's not a good idea. He also ticks him off further because one of his second or third stop home is with Polyphemus, the Cyclops. And they're kind to him at first, assuming that Polyphemus is going to obey the basic laws of hospitality. He does not. Instead, he eats some of Odysseus' men. And
I'm sure Miss Vanders has something to say about that.
Exactly. Do not use a thigh bone to pick your teeth. And so Odysseus, in order to get out of the cave, decides he cannot kill the Cyclops. He has to simply wound him. So they take a large stick, sharpen it to a point, they sear it in the fire, and then after getting the Cyclops drunk and asleep, they take the pointy stick and shove it into the Cyclops' eye. And the Odyssey describes the nerves and popping and sizzling, and it's quite gruesome. Odysseus has very cleverly said that his name was Nobody.
Oh yeah.
So when he rolls open the cave saying, "Nobody has herpes!" So what? Thanks for that news brief. So the Cyclops has sheep and Odysseus and his men attach themselves to the bottom part of the sheep and were able to get out undetected. But hubris, his pride, Odysseus' pride, eventually causes his downfall, because once he is safe on the boats, then he yells back, "If anybody asks who did this to you, say that it was Odysseus, king of Ithaca." Well, Polyphemus is Poseidon's son. Bad news. And so Polyphemus curses Odysseus and says basically, may you return home. If you return home, may it be many years from now, may it be under strange sail with having lost all of your men, which is eventually what happens. So he sails other places. He goes to Circe, where she turns his men into pigs. He has to sleep with her to get his men turned back. One of those trials. Sirens almost get him, but he takes beeswax and puts it over his men's ears to protect them. He ties himself to the mast because he wants to hear the siren song, and it almost drives him insane. You know, Scylla and Charybdis, the six-headed monster with 12 tentacled legs on one side and the whirlpool on the other. This is one of those great analogies for times when you just can't win. There is no good way out. You're going to lose something. And Odysseus he knew that this was going to happen. He found it out when he went to Hades and talked to Tiresias. He knew that he was going to lose 6 men, but if he told his men, they would have stopped. They wouldn't have kept growing. And so he knew that he was going to lose 6 men, and he had to bring his boat through it. Because the other option was to lose his entire boat in the whirlpool of Charybdis. So he sails through, 6 of his men get eaten, and he gets through that. His men are idiots. He comes to the island where it was Helios' cattle. He had been warned. He told his men, don't eat the cattle. But the weather was keeping them on the island. They were getting hungry, and they said, we'd rather be killed by the gods than die slowly by hunger. So they killed the cattle.
That's a mistake.
Well, Odysseus was off praying to the gods for an answer. So much like Moses coming down the hill to find the Israelites sacrificing to a golden calf.
They're eating the
They're
cat.
eating the calf. Exactly. So they're coming down, and that ensures that his fate. So Helios goes to Zeus and says, they killed my cattle. Zeus then says, all right, boom, lightning bolts down on their boats, and Odysseus washes up on Calypso's shore, Calypso's island. So again, he's held captive by a goddess who falls in love with him for 7 years. He returns home to many men wanting to marry his wife, and in a contest ends up winning the contest and killing all of the suitors. Killing in the Odyssey in 20 minutes.
I don't have to read it.
Oh, man.
Did you?